Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the VA process, specifically with regard to VA compensation or VA disability compensation. So if that's something that you're interested in, please hit the like button, subscribe, share with a friend, throw some comments down below. Us sharing information really helps. So please feel free to chime in, and I know most of you guys do, so I appreciate it. So with regard to the VA claims process, this is just a super high level video, and I just wanted to kind of point out a couple things, especially for somebody new to filing VA and not connected with VA healthcare. So the first thing that we have to realize is the VA is a three-headed monster. Basically, it's broken into three silos. You have cemeteries, you have VBA, which is Veterans Benefits Administration, then you have the VHA, which is the Veterans Health Administration. So when you're filing a claim for VA disability compensation, that goes through the Benefits Administration. Now, one of the things that not everybody, but some of us in the back of our minds may think is, hey, the VA is government at the federal level, military is DOD, federal level, and maybe they will help me through this process of filing a claim. Maybe I just need to explain to them that I have these symptoms and I believe that I have these conditions, and then the VA Healthcare Administration, will then look at it and determine whether or not I do or how bad it is and grant me a rating. And that is not what happens at all. In fact, it's kind of the other way around. You have to prove to the VA on the Benefits Administration side that you have a condition to begin with. And you have basically one way to do that, and that is to submit a diagnosis or some sort of medical opinion that you have X, whatever that is. So the three things for a successful claim with the VA is, one, having a time in service, right? It's from here to here. That gives us our window of opportunity. Then you have your diagnosed condition. Then you have the third, which is the nexus, the link between the two. So when we're filing a claim with the VA, oftentimes we will file that claim and we will include, hopefully, you're going to include evidence of the condition. Okay, again, the VA is not going to figure that out for you. You have to prove that you have the condition. If you do not show that you have the condition when you file your claim, you could say you have migraines, you could say you have heartburn, and there's nothing in your medical files with the military. They're just going to deny you. Okay, so you need to go to a doctor, get diagnosed for that. Even though you know you have it, you need to go get diagnosed for it. So you file that claim with that information, and then hopefully you've also documented the fact that it occurred during service, okay? There's a few different ways to do that. Hopefully you complained about it in your service treatment records, and then that will be something that they can use to link as your nexus or to connect your condition with your time in service. And that could be as simple as checking a box on a annual health assessment or your exit health assessment. There's maybe 80 questions of have you now or have you ever experienced X, Y, or Z, and it'll run through 80 different scenarios, swollen painful joints, migraines, tuberculosis, heartburn, and it just goes on and on and on. So, and if you were honest and you checked yes to some things, that is now your nexus. That is now your link to that VA claim. So now let's just say that you've documented with diagnosis, you've established your nexus, your link between your time in service, you've supplied your DD-214, and you submit that claim to the VA. VA now has it. They're going to go through it. More than likely, they're going to send you to a C&P exam. That's your compensation and pension exam. Most of the time, the VA is not trying to diagnose you in this because you've already provided proof from a medical provider that you are diagnosed for X. What they're trying to do is they're trying to establish where you fall on the rating schedule. Okay, so you may be experiencing certain symptoms, signs, symptoms, durations, and they need to figure out what those are as they correlate to the rating schedule for that condition. So what happens is the VA Benefits Administration is now going to refer you to either a VA Health Administration, Veterans Health Administration doctor, or they're going to subcontract it out to a civilian provider for this C&P exam. Now, hopefully, you've done your research and you've went into the schedule of ratings for your condition, and you've read through it and you know where you are as far as your signs, symptoms, durations, that type of stuff are concerned with regard to that specific condition. Make some notes, print it out, do something, take it with you so you can have that conversation with the C&P examiner. Now, let's say that C&P examiner, let's say you have a back condition, and it's going to be range of motion, which I've done video on before. If you always complain about how your back always hurts, don't go to the C&P exam and go, and they go, okay, tell me when it hurts, and start leaning forward, and you just start leaning forward, and you don't say anything until it like really, really, really hurts. Probably not a good idea, because you always complain that your back always hurts, which means just standing there it hurts. So be honest in that situation. Now, if the C&P examiner puts their hand on you and pushes you down or does something that causes more strain and more pain, chances are you're going to hurt even worse the next day. My suggestion is to put yourself in the best situation possible is to go to your doctor the next day and talk about that experience that you had at that C&P exam. Because all of this is going to potentially be used as evidence for your disability compensation claim. Now, it's evidence because it's a legal process. And it's a legal process so much so that if you appeal it, you have three options, one of which is to, if you appeal the decision, you have three options, one of which is to have it go to the Board of Appeals, where a federal VA law judge is going to review your case. So everything in your file now becomes evidence, and it's really evidence all the way through. So you need to think of it that way. Now, after your C&P exam is completed and the C&P examiner sends that information back to the VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration, a VA rater is going to look at your evidence that you've supplied along with the C&P exam, make sure everything lines up. Yep, we have time in service. Yes, we have a diagnosed condition. Yes, we have a nexus. Yes, we have a C&P exam. Hopefully you were articulate and you expressed all of the signs, symptoms, durations, whatever the key things are with regard to the rating schedule for the appropriate rating. And then at that point, the VA rater should be able to go, I see exactly here, you should be rated this. Now, they screw it up. It happens. You get it back and you have a 0% rating, a 10%, whatever, and you think you should be at a 30 or whatever. Now you're going to have to appeal. A couple different ways you can do it. You can appeal the process or appeal the decision, and as long as you appeal things within the correct time frames, you'll preserve your effective date. Ideally, you filed an ITF, an intent to file. If you filed your intent to file, that is the date for your effective date for any back pay. So you file your appeal one of three ways. A, either I've supplied everything you've needed, you've obviously looked over something, missed something, and I want a higher level person to review the entire file, and then make the correction ideally. That does happen and that can work. The other option is, hey, fine, I get that you rated me at that, but I still disagree. Let me go to my doctor, for example, and get some more evidence or whatever. It could be a letter from your spouse. It could be a letter from a battle buddy. It can be a letter from anybody who knew you that can attest to your condition. So anything could be additional evidence. So supplying that additional evidence and then asking for them to relook at it and make a new decision. So that's another option, or pushing it through to the Board of Appeals would be your third. So hopefully that gives some sort of light on kind of the process. Basically, the VA is not going to help you, and don't really rely. Fine. I'll throw out there that there is the duty to assist, and in some cases that works fine. But even when it does, it still takes longer. It's always easier if you just go get all of your own information, all of your own documentation as evidence, get that and file that with your claim. So there is that point. And, if you ever get hung up along the process, you can always do a congressional inquiry to kind of help poke the VA. So remember that you have that in your back pocket as well, working with your local congressional person, your congressman or woman, and you can file for basically help with the VA, and then they will do a congressional inquiry for you. And it doesn't do much, but sometimes the files get stuck in the system and they kind of stagnate, so it kind of just helps get it going again. So with that, I'll go ahead and let it go. Kind of a little longer than I expected, but if you hung on this long, thanks, I appreciate it. And remember, if we don't help each other, something went wrong.